Hey, what's up? This your boy Humble Dad back with another edition of Humble Dad podcast. Got a special guest in the building. Hey, we've been trying to get this together for about a week now, and it's on me that it hasn't come to fruition just yet. But we back and we here, and this young man, I call him young man because I feel like I'm older than everybody. Uh, Watched him as he's been on these different platforms, kind of communicate in a way that I think most people should be communicating. He sits back, he analyzes the situation, and then he provides his own perspective. And it always seems that he's well thought out. And I wanted to talk to him about himself as a father and what his process is and being a parent. So I want to welcome none other than the greatest photographer on the planet, from what I can see. But you can be the judge for yourself. None other than Mr. King Rio. What it is, man.
Hey, I appreciate you for having me today, Humble Dad.
Absolutely, bro. I had to have you. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get everybody on the network.
Yeah.
That makes sense. You feel me?
Yeah. And what better conversation to have than about fatherhood? It's something I'm passionate about, and I know that you are too. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
That's what's up. I didn't know you was passionate about it.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to be incredible. So we're going to start off like this. First, I want you to tell us a little bit about what you got going on and how can people find you.
So I am a photographer. I can be found on Instagram at Brown, BROWNE, photograph. I also have a website with a portfolio of my work. It's going to be Mario, MARIO, Brown, BROWNE.com. I'm also a realtor in the Triangle area of North Carolina. So you can also find my real estate Instagram at it's at Mario K Brown, as well as my website, mariokbrown.kw.com. So, yeah, man.
That's what's up, man. You're gonna have to send all those to me so I can put it on the thumbnail.
Absolutely.
That's a bet. So, first question: what do you feel like the difference between a father and a dad is?
When I hear those words, man, I automatically think about a father. I mean, that is something that everyone has a father technically, right? A dad, that's more personal. You know what I mean? If a child is to call you dad, it makes it appear as though you're in their life. There's a special relationship. There's a soft side to that relationship as well. Whereas a father, it's like, it's kind of cold almost sometimes if you hear somebody say that word for whatever reason. You know, everybody is born to a mother and a father because it takes the two of them in order to make you to begin with. But a dad, that's somebody who's held your hand, who's changed your diapers, who's made that bottle in the middle of the night. You know what I mean?
That's what's up. I like that take. Like I've heard it before. Everybody has a different perspective, but to get the analogy of that, the dad is the one that there's an intimacy such as like he makes the bottle in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Right? So did you have somebody like that in your life, like growing up?
So I would say that my dad, and I call him dad affectionately, you know, at this stage of my life, but as a small child, he was more or less he was more or less the father role, and it wasn't because he wasn't present. It was because he thought that his role was essentially just to be a disciplinarian. And that was it. Love by way of providing and to kind of create structure and apply discipline when necessary. There really wasn't any type of affection involved when I was younger. And I think that's just something he had to learn along the ways. You don't know what you don't know.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense to me because I know that for me, that was a struggle. I didn't have one in my life in that sense. You know what I'm saying? So like that affection part, like I didn't really get that much at all, period. So transitioning to adulthood, you know, people could actually see like I had a hard time holding hands with women, you know what I'm saying? Just because of that missing piece of affection. So I want you to walk me back to like middle school and tell me about who you were. And then also kind of talk to me about a story that you remember your dad or your father or a male influence that impacted you during that time.
So in middle school, that was, I mean, that's when your hormones are raging. You are very much trying to figure out what manhood is. You're kind of smelling yourself. You're dating girls and different things like that. And we all can relate to that. In that stage of my life, I was in a single parent household. My dad, for the majority of my young adult life, had a separate apartment. In fact, no, for the most of my life, period. My parents happened to get married in 11th grade, I believe. And I kind of made my way out of there after high school graduation. So I only really had a very short period of my dad actually being in the same house as me. Okay. So, with that being said, our relationship was very conversational in way of the fatherhood, father and son relationship. If there were times I'm messing up at school, he's going to talk to me over the phone. Right. My mother is more or less the one who is trying to apply corrective action up close and personal on a day-to-day basis. He does come over throughout that period, but he's going home at some point. And I tried to spend a lot of time, either with my girlfriend or outside or with friends and different things like that. So at that stage, there wasn't a whole lot of bonding taking place.
So, okay. Yeah. So, okay. So with that being said, what do you feel like you were or think you was missing not having him there for an extended period of time in the household? Or do you even know?
It was hard for me. I think sometimes I don't know if I have that completely figured out. At that time, I felt like I don't know if I would have appreciated if it would have happened all of a sudden, so to speak. It was a thing to where it was just like, all right, if he came over and if he got on my nerves too bad, I was looking forward to when he was going home, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Because it was one of those things where it's just like, all right, well, if you don't really hang out with me, I'm not really as receptive when you're coming over reinforcing what my mom is saying I'm doing wrong. You know what I mean? It's just like, and they kind of had the relationship to where if they were in a fallout, they would kind of use you as a pawn, so to speak, against each other.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So you had a lot of that going on. So the consistency of the bonding was lacking with him. And then also, like I said, my mom sometimes would use my upbringing and issues and trauma and various things that I dealt with as leverage against him if they were at odds. So I, was very close to my mother, and at times of their fallouts, he was kind of on the other side. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As I started to become older and had issues with my mother because now I'm becoming a man and she doesn't really know how to handle that. I kind of tried to.
Just to add, what age were you segue into?
So now we're talking 8th grade.
Okay.
Going into high school type of thing. A lot was happening at that time.
Okay.
And so, sometimes I would find myself going over to his place sometimes, you know what I mean? But I didn't know what it was like per se to like, what do typical father and son do when they just hang out?
Right.
We had, I think my first time figuring that out is I think one time we went to California together. And that was awesome. You know what I mean? Because there really wasn't any distraction. You know what I mean? And we were going to visit some relatives and he decided to take me specifically. And man, that was a great time. That's one of my fondest memories of us together. But he didn't have some other place to go. I didn't have some other place to go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We were there. You know what I mean? So if I could have just imagined what an ideal situation would be like, it would be to have more of that.
How old were you when that happened? when you went to the?
Yeah, I was around 8th grade when that happened.
Also, ninth grade. What? So y'all went to visit somebody,
Yeah,
and was it a road trip or was it a flight?
it was a flight. It was one of my first flights,
Okay.
and it was just us together. So we flew from Pittsburgh, where I'm from, over to LA. We
Yeah.
had family over there, and we spent at least several days.
Oh, okay. So
It,
it's like a vacation with your dad.
it was,
Mm.
and even so, now that I think about it, it was so necessary because I know that they were having issues with me around that time. One thing I remember specifically was they were trying to figure out when we went on that trip, I had a lot of my own money and they were trying to figure out where's this kid getting this from? You know what I'm saying? And I had just had my own little hustles, you know what I'm saying? And that bothered them. I remember that, you know what I
Wow.
mean? But I was very self-reliant,
Really?
and
Okay.
I didn't like to ask for much. You know what I mean? And that
Yes.
was like me coming into my manhood, and
Mm.
they
Mm.
knew that about me,
Okay.
and that was hard. I think that's very hard. It's like you have this kid who is a very mannish kind of child to begin with,
You
and
see how little kids do? You see how they
yeah,
do?
yeah,
Hold on real quick.
yeah.
That's hilarious. Like she does that at least once an episode, bro.
Oh yeah, listen, I can relate. I got a little one running around here right now. Like I said, if I listen, don't be surprised if it happens to me.
That's hilarious. All right. So when you get to you got your own money and you're transitioning to manhood, that
Yeah,
like man, we have that part is a similar story for me because I didn't necessarily have my own money, but I definitely was coming into my own where I was kind of self-sufficient
yeah,
because I grew up in a single family house, single mom household. Uh, Definitely that middle school, getting into ninth grade, and I was having to. Uh, I would go to basketball practice. Well, I missed basketball practice because I had to come get my sister and take her
mhm,
home, and then wait for my younger brother to sit and watch her. Then
gotcha.
I could go, and I had to hoop with the B team. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So like that was me growing up early, having to take care of my siblings.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? While my mom be at work, so I had the responsibility of taking care of somebody at
gotcha,
like ninth grade. You know what I'm saying?
gotcha.
So that I see where you're at as far as that. They're uncomfortable
Yeah,
because they see that you're self reliant,
yeah,
but they it's almost as if they don't realize that they made you be self reliant.
yeah. I mean, and it's one of those things too where parenting, man, it's like a calibrating that you have to do with each kid because they're individuals.
Facts.
I had this natural entrepreneurial acumen about me, and I don't necessarily know that they knew how to cultivate that. It was just more or less you focus on doing your schoolwork, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
and doing what you're told around here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Opposed to, wow, this kid got a lot of hustle. Let's think about how we might be able to set him up to have a business. Because that's all I was really trying to do, right? It's
Wow.
just the way that I went about it wasn't ideal. I mean, ultimately, you don't want this very young teen, even to call it that. I mean, this is back in the time that Uncle Dad, we had CDs, DVDs, and different things like that.
Many
Man,
hustles.
all of that stuff, man. I would be hustling that stuff down in front of the bar. They like, what is he doing? What, you can't be down at the bar this time of night. You're a kid.
That's what's up.
I had that. If I went to school, man, I had candy and different things for sale. I was just
Yeah.
that. That's what I was. You know what I mean? And I liked being able to earn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think there's a way that you deal with that type of kid, right? But you don't. We as parents, it's trial and error. We're learning too.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah,
That is good. I wanna go on that. Okay. I'm gonna transition. So since it's a trial and error,
yeah,
I think because of that, it allowed me to forgive my mom a lot of what I'm like, man, she didn't teach me this, she didn't teach me that. But she taught me what it is that she knew to teach me. Because how does it make any sense for a parent to have something and then not give it to their kid?
Right.
Like, so it wasn't intentional.
Right.
It wasn't intentional. And so when I was able to understand that helped me forgive her, also become a better parent and saying, okay, that's what I'm trying to figure out now. Like, what is their skill? Like, what is it they like to do that I can help nurture? You know what I'm saying? And so with G, I just put up a picture a few moments ago. She's an artist in the sense of she likes coloring.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I just put a post up on on Instagram, and she just, I mean, it's incredible paint color. I don't even know if she likes to paint, but she definitely likes the color. So I'm like, how can I create something for her in that aspect for her to just be coloring? My son Joshua, he wants to code. You know, I'm trying to figure out how can I get that. My son Ethan wants to be a YouTube sensation. Like he 8. You know what I'm saying? And then my youngest, you know, I'm trying to figure it out. She's 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if we can, as individuals, as dads and parents, but we're talking about dads, if we can find out what that is and pour into them, you put them on a different stratosphere.
And I think that's a really good point, because sometimes we have to remember what it was like for us when we were their age and what we would have liked to have in a father. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's really important, because I found myself, one of the things I talked to my son about, he's only 6, but I talked to him, right now he's in Taekwondo, and I talked to him about the importance of sticking to it, maintaining his routine and not quitting. I said, I was in Taekwondo and I was very good at it, man. I would go to tournaments, I would win medals, I would track and various other things. I said, the thing about me, and I talked to him very candidly, I said, I would accomplish things and then I would stop. I would quit. And I didn't really have anybody to hold me accountable. You know what I mean? And make sure that I had follow through. And I said, I think my life would have been a little bit different had I knew what it was like to commit, to follow through, to not quit.
Good.
You know what I mean? And so I'm making sure that my son understands that very young. You know what I mean? I also let him know that I'm proud of him. You know what I mean? His consistency, his improvement, his development. One of us try to be at every practice. You know what I mean? I remember as a kid, man, I was like, shit, I would have liked my dad to have been one of the coaches. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, I have to remind myself that. You know what I mean?
I do. Yeah. I'm literally, I'm as you're talking, I'm looking at the things that I may have missed, but made sure that I don't miss. Like now the situation is a little different, but you know, you got to rock with what you got to rock with. So what I've been blessed to be able to do, like 3 of them were in sports. Mm-hmm. Think about that for a moment.
All at once.
All at one time.
Jeez. Yeah.
And so I had some help getting them to practices. And the thing that I couldn't get to was practice. And that's a big transition for them because I was at every practice. Mm-hmm. Right. And so they told me what I asked them, but they said that, you know, that's one of the things that they missed was that me taking them to practice, because that would be daughter, daddy, son, daddy time to just talk about life. You know what I'm saying? But it's like 40 minutes there and back, right? Yeah. And then on game days, I would take them to game days, right? So that's another, so they missed that part. But what I did do, and this is for dads that make excuses, because I don't really take excuses from dads. You know what I'm saying? To be in your kid's life. Like, I made it a point to be at some part of their game.
Right.
If I couldn't get to the whole game.
Right.
If they had a double header, I made sure I was at one of them bad boys. And if I was late, I made sure when I got to them that, hey, daddy's here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very important, man, for us to be in their life. Yes. Because it definitely makes a major difference. Yeah. So you say 6.
Yes.
So 6 years ago, take me back to that point in time where you heard the words, I'm pregnant.
Yeah. I kind of knew. Okay. I kind of knew. Look, without being too graphic about it, I just knew
Okay.
Something different happened than what typically happens, and there was good possibility, right? So I wasn't surprised.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I took it very seriously.
Mm.
And I took it very seriously because in my experiences growing up, I always said to myself that I'm going to be better. You know what I mean? I'm going to be better. And as an adult now, and me and my dad having a very good man-to-man relationship. Our man-to-man relationship is so much better than our father-son relationship. Is unbelievable. It's such a cool thing to have,
That's what's
you
up.
know. And he he's very much communicative in this stage of life about how I'm doing as a dad, and so he gives me my props. You know what I'm saying? And
Pause. Pause. Pause.
yeah,
I want you to finish that thought, but I want to hear. You may have about to say it, but talk to me about what that feels like.
yeah, it feels amazing. You know what I'm saying? It feels amazing because it's like he. There are two people. There's a few more, but these are two people, my mother and my father, who knows what my entire life has been like. You know what I'm saying? And so he understands where I've come from.
Okay.
He understands how I could have ended up,
Okay.
but he's observing very critically because he's serious about his grandchildren too.
Mm.
He observes how I am as a man and as a father now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he knows how important it is to me. So when there's opportunity to compliment me on that, he does, and he'll give praise about it publicly, and I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? Because I literally am, man. I this is my top priority in life. I'm one of those brothers where I'm really, really trying. You know what I'm saying? I don't get it perfect every day. You know what I'm saying? But like I'm not gonna quit, and I'm gonna keep trying to be better about it.
That's
You
why
know
you
what I
was
mean?
like, bro, let's get this done.
Yeah,
Okay. Because you was like, hey, I'm ready now, right?
yeah,
Okay, to do the interview. Okay, so you're passionate about being a dad,
yeah.
and so he tells you, he congratulates you on a regular basis. Then you was about to follow through with the next part of the story. I just wanted to hear that because we don't hear, dads don't hear good job,
Right.
right? And so that's what this platform is about, from me to you all,
Yeah.
to highlight that I think you're a dope dad. I may
Yeah.
not say it, but that's why I have you on the show.
I appreciate
Right?
that.
So I think you're a dope dad. You know what I'm saying? Just based on commentary. Like, I don't know how you are inside your house, obviously, but I've spoken and interviewed almost 90 dads.
Yeah.
Right. And so hearing your thought process on the show, like I'm like, oh, if he's like that, then he's definitely, that's not something you can stage on the platform. It got to be something that he's pouring into his kids similarly. And yeah, and I'm sorry. And one nugget that I wanted to make mention of, I love that you speak to your young dude as a young dude. Like, I'm talking to him because he's a miniature me. I'm not talking to him as a baby. I'm talking to him as where I want him to be.
That's right.
And that builds his mental makeup as
Yeah.
well as his ability to comprehend. My bad.
Yeah.
I'm talking a lot. My bad. Go ahead.
No, but I mean, on that same point, it's because I'm also, as he's observing me, I'm also observing him all the time, whether or not he realizes it or not. And I realize how one of the things, I'll tell you, I'll give you an example. So his mom's a nurse. They learn about nurses at school. Everybody knows what a nurse is. So when he has to speak about what his parents does, it automatically comes out, my mom's a nurse. There was a period of time where he was trying to figure it out and get it together about, what does dad do? I see him leaving, you know what I'm saying? And I see him going. He says he has to go show a house and different things like that. But what does he do? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that was starting to bother me, right?
That little pride right there.
Works just as hard. Wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? And so one day we driving back from Taekwondo, and I said, listen, I said, look around and look at these houses. I said, look at this land for sale that we pass every day. I said, listen, it is my job. I said, matter of fact, this is our business. Because I said, we're running a business here, this family. And said, it's our job to help people buy and sell houses and land. And this is what I get out and get up and do every day. I said, now, those people aren't going to come to our door and ask, can you sell my house? Right? I got to go out and I got to find them. Every day I got to get up. I got to go out. I got to find them. If somebody needs to buy a house, I got to put them in front of the right house and I got to show them. I said, so this is what our business is. And it's very important for us to be able to grow our business. I said, one day, I say, you may even reap the benefits of this business even more than you do today, because maybe you might like it. I said, but we have a business and it's very important for you to understand that. And this is what I work hard doing every day, you know? And so the way that he digested this at 6 amazed me. And that was the reason why I feel we just got to sometimes just talk to our sons, our daughters candidly. Don't underestimate what they have the ability to understand. But we have to take the time to try to explain. We have to take the time to try to have that conversation. You know what I mean? And yeah, you know, trial and error.
That's good, man. I applaud you on that. That that reminds me of a story when my late wife Jen, she would go buy stuff. She would stay at home mom. Okay? Yeah. They knew that they you know, stay at home. They go shopping. They think, you know, they see me leave, but they know that I teach, but they thinking that mommy is the one that's getting money.
Yeah.
And so when she goes out shopping, they see her with the money.
Yeah.
I said, say, Jen, what's going on? She said, I tell them, but they think that they think that because I have the money, that I'm the one that's bringing in money, and they don't really know what you do, you know?
Yeah.
And so I had to sit them down and converse with them. I said, listen, this here where you live?
Yeah.
I pay for this, right? Yeah. I'm a teacher. This is and I would tell them my salary. This is how much I make. This is how much I bring in. This is what, this is our budget. This is the things that, you know, this is why you need to turn off these lights.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so they do need to see that, because that's a part of understanding what providing looks like.
Yeah.
And us that didn't have that father in the household, or had a father that would not reveal those things to us,
right,
that makes our learning curve that much greater.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's true. So that's why I applaud dudes that are working hard to be a father in their in the lives of their kids. And I don't take no excuses from no dudes that say, well, I can't get it done.
No, not at all.
That's why you got to choose well.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a fact. That's a fact, you know, and so even with that being said, it's like we have a responsibility, you know, as fathers, not just to lead our children, but to be able to drive the boat as a whole. That's the entire household. Facts. You know what I'm saying? Because they're trusting that our leadership, you know what I mean, is going to get us somewhere better off, right? Opposed to steering us into danger, harm, despair, you know what I mean? Or a worse situation than what we're already in, right? And I think that is something that we can't take lightly, you know? So when I was talking to you about relocation, that was a big deal. You know, when we relocated, we're leaving all of our familial support, you know, and we're going to a place to where we feel that we can build a family, and trusting that we are going to be able to get it done with just us two as parents. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when we move from one city to another, that's what comes along with it, right? Because we didn't know anybody here, you know. Okay. But with that, in my mind, each and every day, this thing has to work one way or another. The intent is not for my kids to suffer from this transition.
Yes.
The intention is for them to be better off. So whatever sacrifices we have to make, that's what we have to make. You know what I mean? And, you know, so that's a big part of it. When you were talking about the grocery store thing, man, that's so relevant, because us as parents, us as fathers, we're having conversation with our spouses and really getting a scoop on what our kids think and feel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I think the mothers typically know a little bit more. You know what I mean? because I think just naturally there's more of a, and I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I think naturally sometimes there's just more of an emotional connection there.
They're nurturers.
They're nurturers, right? So yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. And for me, I was the fun dad. You know what I'm saying? I was the one that planned events to go get stuff. Now I'm both, right? And then, but I have my lady now, Kendra. Like, she's dope, bro. Like one of the things that she just recently did. Shout out to Kendra. You know she's gonna watch this at some point. Like, she came over just to play video games with my youngest son because my oldest son. And they might as well be twins, bro. Like my youngest son, when Joshua left, he cried. He went to camp, so he was gone for 4 days. She came over just to play video games with him.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and she's not even a gamer like that. You know what I'm saying?
But they're building a bond in those moments. You know what I mean?
Yeah. She played with him for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, bro.
Yeah.
And when I told him she came over just for you. His love language is quality time.
Yeah,
without a doubt. And when he heard that, and then like the other day, she called him just to check on him because she knew that he was having a hard time with Joshua being gone.
Yeah.
He said, well, she wants to talk to you. I said, no, she ain't called me.
Yeah.
She called you. He started skipping, bro, because he was so excited.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that part, like, that's not something that I have. Like, I'm here and I play video games.
Yeah.
I don't get that same smile, that same energy.
Right.
So it's something about that female aroma or presence or something like that.
Yeah.
And I can speak on and on about what she's done, you know, just to be a part of my life, right? So when we get to your situation about talking about your son, and you said that you looked at him just as much as he looks at you.
Yeah.
Talk to me about what have you learned from him about himself, or that has. Let me tackle it this way. What have you learned about yourself being a father to your 6-year-old?
So my son is when you mention the nurturing aspect, that's one area that him and his mother really connect, because they are both just naturally just very affectionate. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So then you have me, right?
I don't know what that means, but you might.
So you and I were having a conversation, and you mentioned, like, for a while you had an issue even like holding hands, right?
Yes.
That's me. I still, and it's embarrassing, but I think my woman has just learned that he just doesn't do that naturally, and she's not as harsh on me about it. You know what I'm saying?
You're so fortunate.
Oh, I know. It's just, well, it's a lot of time. It's a lot of time. Trust me, I've suffered the repercussions of some of these things.
That one, bro.
But when my parents were bringing me up, that's not what they were. That's not how they were grooming me to be.
Yeah.
But what my son reminds me of is my younger brother. My younger brother always went up to give my mom hugs and kisses and different things like that. Him and I were so different in that way. And my parents didn't necessarily, I'm the oldest child. They didn't even expect that from me. Even I talked to my mom about this to this day. She said, you're not like that. You know what I'm saying? This is what she says. So she's like, you're going to have to be honest with people about this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so what my son does, though, that sometimes, and I feel like this is what I'm blessed to have him, is sometimes he will just come up in the night getting ready to be bedtime, and some of it could be stalling, but he'll say, I just want to give you both a hug. One thing about him, though, he does it consistently. You know what I'm saying? And that works on people like me over time. Like, damn.
Okay.
Why don't I ask for hugs? You know, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to keep it in the back of my mind so that I can remember to do stuff like that, right? Because it's healthy, and those types of things do feel good if you let it, right? So he's actually teaching me how to be um emotionally available. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? Yeah.
emotionally available. That's good, bro. Cause that, like, when I give them hugs, because at night, one of the things that we pray every night together. Everybody has their own day that they pray, right?
Yeah.
And after that, everybody gives each other a hug. And at some point, like, we would play this thing called Hug Wars,
Mm-hmm.
right? I haven't played it in a while, but we play Hug Wars. And Hug Wars is simply like, I hug you and you got to try to, I got to try to get you off of me,
Yeah.
right? But it's that constant connection that, yes, we're wrestling, but we're also showing love to
Right.
one another. And it became a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
May have to get back to that, but it's kind of gone away. But they enjoyed that so much,
Yeah.
and that their hugs have become, they enjoy hugging dad.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was weird at some point, but I became emotionally available.
Right.
And as you're talking, I got to get back into just walking in the room and just say, "Can I get a hug?" Because I was doing that. Can I
Yeah.
just get a hug from you? You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And they say yes. My sons, bro, it's weird. Like
Yeah.
my oldest daughter, she's not that much of a hugger. Maybe because she's a teenager, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But for my 10 and my 8-year-old, hey, if they see that daddy's comfortable with you,
Yeah.
you're gonna get a hug. Simple as that. You're gonna
Yeah.
get a hug. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They're huggers in that sense. So it's very much like when you're talking about that, I think guys need to see that
Yeah.
as important. Just not just, you call it emotional available. It may be nurturing from the mother's perspective,
Mm-hmm.
right? But your son needs to know that you love him more than just through words, but
Right.
a physical, something physical, whether it's a hug, whether it's a high five,
Yeah.
whether it's that, something that shows that connection. When
Yeah.
I was teaching, I would do like, every day I would give fist pumps.
Yeah.
If you was bad in my class the day before or whatever, give
Yeah.
you fist pumps. It totally changed the psychology once they came into my room.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
I think that's important, and one of the things I'm even thinking about is I think sometimes um, we know what we've been to them from the start, but they pretty much know and understand what we are right now. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I have to remind myself of that. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, man, he doesn't know that when she was pregnant with him, the time I put together this nursery, man, like, painting of the walls, the selections of different things, of putting up the crib, how I was looking forward to him coming into our lives. He doesn't know that I'm the first one to hold him. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't know all these things. He knows how I am right now. So he doesn't necessarily understand how deeply I love him as my son
Yeah.
unless I show him now. You know what I'm saying? And that's more than just paying the cost to be the boss and all of that. That's having those moments, spending that time, being mentally present, because oftentimes we bring work everywhere with us, our phones, like I say, the hugs things we were just talking about. So that's stuff that's a work in progress with me currently. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to remind myself that, because he only remembers the last couple of years, if that. He don't know from birth to now. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
That's a good point, bro. So all right, so what have you learned? Like what's been, you say, because we know that we are imperfect beings. So
Yeah.
walk me through a moment that you care to share that you's like, yeah, I messed that one up.
Yeah.
Do you have a moment like that?
Yeah. This was humbling. Very, very humbling.
Okay.
So the so all right, so just to put this in perspective, my son goes to a Christian school, right? We pay tuition to the school.
Okay.
Every month, along with activity fees and all kind of supplies and everything else that they come up with all the time.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I feel, and I take them to school every morning. I feel in my mind that the school needs to understand that and respect me for that. You know what I'm saying? And know who I am, right? So
put some respect on my name, okay?
For a fact, you know what I mean? So they have this special trip to Chuck E. Cheese on the morning of kindergarten graduation. The kids didn't know it was a surprise, so all the parents is out there waiting in front of the Chuck E. Cheese, and the school bus pulls up. They knew they're going on a field trip, but they didn't know where. Kids get off the bus, they all excited. They greet their parents, this, that, the other thing. We greet them and talking and da 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 da. I kind of felt away because at the Chuck E. Cheese, it was like his friends, his mom, and I said something to his mother. I said, it seemed like he kind of wants to interact with everybody else. I'm not even here. You know what I'm saying? And then I said, not to mention, I said, the administration seems to be talking to you, and they're not really talking to me. So one of the things she brought to my attention was, she says, listen, it's not so much that you're not there. It's just that he doesn't necessarily know you as much to be so playful, right? I said, and the teachers don't know you so much to be as engaged as you maybe are from home. Because you don't demonstrate it there. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm taking my son to school every morning. We have an art talk in the car. I love his enthusiasm about going to school. I love. So he typically darts in there. That's how I like to see it. Gives me fuel. Pay that tuition every month. You know what I mean? And the teacher, she may give me a little wave or whatever, but I don't go inside the class and talk to the teacher like his mom does when she picks him up. I don't necessarily learn the names of his classmates and different things like in the way that she does. So there's a different level of engagement she's doing on the inside that I'm not doing.
Wow.
And just the same way with him, there's a different level of engagement she's doing on the inside that I'm not doing. You know what I'm saying? And so that was humbling, very, very humbling, because it made me recognize that. And so now it's important that I show different sizes. But this is where it comes to, like I say, how we were brought up. Sometimes we don't know. I don't ever remember my dad being playful. You know what I'm saying? So like, that is something, even me as an adult, if my dad, he's a lot softer now that he's old. You know what I'm saying? One time he said to me, when I don't know, he caught me playing. I was in their backyard, and me and my son, we were kicking the ball around or something like that. He was like, man, it's good to see you being playful. You know what I'm saying? Because he doesn't even know me to be that way.
Wow, King.
You see what I'm saying?
That's
so, yeah. You know what I mean? So just being more intentional about doing those things, right? And I think the more I do them, the more they will actually become me. You know what I'm saying? And naturally, as supposed to happen to remind myself, I'm going to do this. You know what I mean? We got to make time. We got to do that, kind of thing. So yeah,
to make it not just an agenda, but actually a part of your everyday process.
That's right.
That it's it's something that it's a part of your everyday. That's what it is. It's part of your everyday process.
Yeah,
that's good, bro. To be humbled by the fact that your kid didn't play with you in front of others.
Yeah,
basically, and to say, you know what, something has to change, and then but you held yourself accountable, right?
Yeah,
and we talked about that on the other show. But holding yourself accountable provides change, and it provides growth to take place, and oftentimes in a good way. Right?
Yes,
in a good way. So I applaud you in that one, bro, because there have been times for me that I would ignore some signs. Before I did this podcast, started the Humble Dad podcast, I remember, and I tell this story, I had asked my kids on a regular basis what was my score, because I always wanted to be better. Like I want to be great at whatever I do, right? And they gave me a 6. I was like, what? I got a 6? I thought I was out here rocking as a dad. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like they was being nice. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I said, so like, what am I having a hard time doing? Like, what am I doing? Not doing well to get to my 8, 9, or 10.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter, she was probably 8. No, she wasn't. She was probably 10 at the time, 11. I don't know, something like that. And she's like you just don't communicate well with us.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave her that great, like, you know what I'm saying, because I wanted to be better, so I wasn't upset how she said it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, communicate with you, like, give me an example. So now I'm like, okay, I don't know what you're talking about. And then she broke down this one example, and I was like, oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that, where
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to explain to her to do something, and then I got into my big bravado talking about, well, I'm the man of the house, so you need to do what I say, not what your mama said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if I would have just taken a step back and assessed the situation,
Mm-hmm.
that never would have happened, and I wouldn't have been yelling at my daughter or my kid for no particular reason.
Yeah.
And so not until I start interviewing dads on how they operate
Mm-hmm.
did I start seeing what I was missing.
Right.
Because I didn't have it.
Yeah.
2 months later, my score changed to 9s and 10s.
That's awesome.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
that showed me that listening to other dads, holding myself accountable. Daddy's talking, you gotta wait. Here she go again. Right? She wants something. I don't have a clue what it is. I gave her what she wanted before. But nevertheless, we wrap this up. I don't even remember my thought.
The score, you were saying that 2 months later you higher score.
Yeah, my score changed, and this is the reason why I think what I'm doing is important, but I'm not consistent in it. You know what I'm saying? But I realize how important it is, because talking to you, it rekindles something that I haven't been doing that I need to do.
Yeah.
Right. And hopefully, maybe something same for you as well. You know what I'm saying? So that's the goal. So we almost done. We're gonna get into these questions. So give me a number between, let's see, 30 and 44.
33.
What's the best gift you ever received? What's the best gift you've ever given?
The best gift I've ever received was when my great grandmother taught me how to pray. Similar to what you said about praying with your children, this was not only was it the person that taught me how to pray. When I stayed at her house, which I did pretty frequently, we prayed side by side. You know what I'm saying? And this is my great grandmother. So you got several generations apart. And we established this bond that just happened with. She gave me time. She gave me attention. She fed me. And she prayed with me. You know what I'm saying? I've been praying every day throughout my whole life, sometimes multiple times a day, ever since she taught me. You know what I'm saying? So like that was, man, it's one of those, I couldn't thank her enough, because she knew, sometimes parents, grandparents, great grandparents, they pour a little something extra into the ones they feel really, really needed. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like that was one of those things.
Okay. That's what's up. What's the best gift you've given?
Best gift I've given. Ooh. I think for me, it's hard for me to measure that. I will say,
that's
just me walking in my purpose as a man. I try to be as selfless as possible for my family and put them first. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, sometimes we complain about it to other men. We might gripe, but at the end of the day, I don't know what I'd have in any other way. if I'm the person that has to suffer, you know what I'm saying? I'll suffer just to make sure they're okay, day in and day out. You know what I mean? And that's honestly, I think that's the best gift that I can give. You know what I mean? It's just trying to be an accurate representation of what a man should be.
That's dope. That's dope, bro.
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah, that's good. Give me another number.
Let's go 44.
Is there anything that you wish you had asked your parents but hadn't or didn't?
Mm. I would have asked my parents, why is it uh, that they needed me to be so tough? Because I kind of turned out that way, and it was a gift and a curse, right? As we talk about things that obstacles that we have to overcome in order to be good fathers. Um, Sometimes it's hard to change that. You know, I think if anything, they recognized that I was different than the closest sibling to my age, and I think that they were able to bond with him in a more of a affectionate way because that's how he was. So for me, I always wonder, well, what were they thinking and feeling about me, and how did they feel I was going to turn out? You know what I'm saying? Because you observe your children, right?
Yes.
You know, you know, and they know I got to deal with this today. They know I got to deal with me today.
That's good. Okay, that's man. You. It had to be a different time, but I just really want to know what brought you to be so analytical, because I am too.
Yeah.
We don't have to talk about that now, but that's what I told you offline. I was like, that's what I see.
Yeah.
That you're pretty analytical. All right, give me a last number.
Let's go 40.
What do you think the world needs more of right now?
Black love, honestly. Black love. I mean, in an authentic way. You know what I'm saying? In a real way. We have to talk about building better communities and how we'd be better off, even from an economic standpoint, if we are to marry and to be together and various things like that. Right now, it just seems like it's hard for whatever reason for many of us to even just get along, let alone hold a marriage, right? So how do we find that real love for one another, man and black woman, right? And make it so that that's what our kids know to be normal.
Could have said it better, bro. Two last questions. Second last question is, which TV dad do you feel like you would compare yourself to?
So that one, we just talked about that recently. So that was kind of on the spot. But I will say, man, one of my favorite comedians came to mind, Bernie Mac. These wasn't even his kids, really. Right? It wasn't even really his kids. But what it made me think about is
that person to say that out of 90 interviews, bro. That's
man. It's crazy because all right, so there was these three children that it was of his sisters, right? But so I only got two, and they're similar age apart. My son, you know what I mean, and he had, I believe, Bernie Mac had Jordan, and then he had the younger one that he kind of called baby girl, right?
Yeah.
And he knows kind of that he has to be somewhat the enforcer around the household, right? And he knows that he has to kind of structure Jordan as a boy as he's trying to raise him into a young man. And then you have this little cute one he calls baby girl.
Yeah.
And she kind of, you can tell he has a soft spot, right? And so my daughter, who's one, kind of has that way with me. And my son is just, I'm always thinking like, man, I want you to have the tools to be able to survive as a young man. You know what I mean? Because it gets real at every grade level that you go up, and you got to be prepared for this. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like it's my job to make sure, you know, and so I can be an enforcer sometime with him. You know what I mean? But then I got this little cute daughter who is, you know, she's like my shadow. You know, it's like I don't know what it is.
She's walking?
She's walking. She's 18 months now. She's walking. She's in love with her dad, man, and it's mutual. So it's like, I don't know. They change you a little bit. She's working on me, and so I think I'm a little bit softer on her. She can do no wrong right now, you know.
Let's wait a couple years, bro.
I know.
That's how it was for my first one is a girl, right?
Yeah.
And so that's who she. I mean, man, I take her everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, didn't matter how old she was. I'm like, listen, this is my seed, bro. Y'all gonna get to see her with me,
That's
right? And she's still daddy's girl. You know, at 13, we have these tough conversations. I talked to her about boys. We've talked about all types of things, bro. And so what I'm finding with her is that, and what Kendra has also noticed is that even though I'm tough on her, I'm way tougher on my sons.
That's right.
she said you talk totally different to your sons than your daughter who's 13 and your daughter who's 4. And I'm like, listen, it's a cold world, man.
It is.
They not gonna. My sons are some handsome dudes too. You know that's just not me saying it. That's just from what people say, right?
Yeah.
And so they're gonna have somewhat of a handsome privilege, right? And they're also very intelligent dudes.
Yeah.
And so women are looking for these type of dudes. And so I'm trying to teach them how to be a man and also how to find a wife. If that, you know what I'm saying? If you just, I want them to be married because I want the black love thing to continue to proceed, right?
Right.
And so that's what I be thinking. I'm thinking with the ego in mind. And when I'm talking to my daughters, I'm like, I can't talk to them harshly because I don't want them to think that it's okay for their husband to talk to them in the same manner. So I'm thinking the exact same.
Man, I'm telling you, and so it's something that I got like that. That's a whole podcast in itself. That's a podcast in itself, man. Because sometimes we talk about this on other, in other conversations about the world doesn't really care so much about the black man's feelings. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so we trying to raise our sons to be able to survive in these conditions.
I'm gonna have to put that one together.
Yeah.
Together when we have just a community of black men talking about how they're raising their sons specifically, and then one about how you're raising your daughters. Thank you for that nugget. You know what I'm saying? And the last question is, how do you want to be remembered by your kids? What would you want them to say about you?
I want them, and that's the ironic thing. I want them to know and remember how much I love them, right? And so that's why it's ever more important for me to demonstrate it in a way that it matters and that they can understand, right? But I also want them to know that I was a real man, and I want them to know what that means, right? I want my son to have something to emulate in way of manhood and even be better than me, right? And I want my daughter to know what that looks like. So whenever one day she has somebody ask me to take her hand in marriage, you know what I mean? She understands what I might be vetting for, you know what I mean? And she understands how he's supposed to treat her and how he's supposed to carry his family. You know what I'm saying? And so, a real man, and that he loved them.
That's what's up. Well, I appreciate your time, King, man. This has been dope. You know what I'm saying? For all those that watch and will be watching in the future, make sure you like, subscribe, and share the content,
I got one gem I want to share with you. Brought to mind before we go.
You got the last words anyway, bro. Go ahead.
These were my last words. I just want to emphasize this about the talking to your kids about what you do. And I talked about how I explained to my son that my real estate business is our business, right? And we talked about gifts. This is one of the things that he came out the room one day. Remember, he's 6, but they're so technologically savvy with the YouTube and the little tablets and different things like that.
Right.
He watched a video on how to market via YouTube and the importance of testimonials. And in his little kindergarten handwriting, he wrote me a little report on how I might be able to help the business. So, man, talk about feeling love. Like I say, this young man is teaching me a lot.
That's dope, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, that's dope. I really appreciate the time, homie. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? This has been a wonderful conversation. And please go check out King Rio. You know what I'm saying? Photography's on point. And if you're in the Carolinas, if you will, right? Hey, holler at them about you selling your house or you need to buy a house.
Absolutely. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. And until
Yeah.
next time, we out here. Deuces.
Already.
Bet.